Hello everybody, it is me, Countess, and I hope this video finds you well wherever you are out there in the world. I wanted to go over, again, I found something interesting online that correlates back to the memoirs of Billy Shears. Thought it was very interesting, and as always I like to share these things with you guys, and hopefully you find them interesting as well. This is all about September 11th, 9/11, if you will, and the numeric symbolism attached to it, and how the day and the events that happen on it are linked straight back to Aleister Crowley. And this is very interesting, correlating to the memoirs, because, you know, we all realize that Billy has at least some sort of affiliation with Mr. Crowley. He's the king of Cosmania, right? Possibly the son of Aleister Crowley. And I just wanted to read a quick excerpt of from the memoirs about what Bill says regarding 9/11. And I'll read the whisper messages too on the correlating pages, because they do relate to this. So on page 581 in the memoirs, Billy says, most who read this book of secrets live in environments that big governments mostly keep safe willingly, because a tragedy can strike anywhere. Consider the New York strikes on September 11th, 2001. I was in a plane on the tarmac of JFK when the captain told us there had been a terrible accident. We could see it out the window. No one could distance himself from it then. It was in our faces, not in a distant minefield. Everyone was shocked by the brutality. If we longed to do what we could to ease a little suffering, if at all possible. I donated some royalties. Millions of people contributed what they felt they could. We could not endure that terrible grief without helping somehow, even if only in small ways. Hearing that it happened in a land I love made the inhumanity worse. Learning of my relatives' role made it unbearable. Relatives. This sort of does confirm to the idea that Bill and Barbara Bush are half siblings, that they share the same father, being Mr. Crowley. That's been a sort of conspiracy theory about Barbara Bush and the Bush family, and their ties to Satan and 1,000 points of light and all that good stuff, right? Well, Billy kind of confirmed it right here. The whisper message on this page says, the coming cataclysms, pole shift, solar cycle, Nibiru's return, etc. Add urgency for the collateral liquidation and sterilization to eliminate natural humans who would compete with the new CRISPR engineered species. Talking about eugenics right there. They're going, you know, CRISPR is that new method where you can like basically construct your own baby You can produce what genes you want to be dominant in your baby. It's crazy stuff, and it all boils down to the whole Nazi idea of eugenics. It's really creepy. So turning the page on 582, Bill continues. It also mattered to the loved ones gathered at the concert for New York City. I did it for them and for the broken hearts everywhere that ache because of that cruelty. At that New York concert, the mourning crowd effused a spirit of communal sorrow, holding their pictures of loved ones who had been lost in the World Trade Center and other attack sites on that day of heartlessness. I am the one who organized that benefit concert, but many other excellent artists left their other interests aside for the show as well. Concerts I did later, I cut the song Freedom because George W. Bush, his nephew, used that 9/11 terrorist attack to justify his further terrorism abroad. Yes, it fortified his military agenda. His people militarized not only my song, but also the whole general United States mindset. Good call there, Bill. I couldn't have said it better myself. He was trying to further his own terrorism agenda on the people in Iraq. Awful. So then the whisper message on this page says, feeling bad for victims of terrorism and for his own servitude, Billy saying that it was his right to live a free life, and that's from the song Freedom. If he were free to live his own life, he would much rather be with his grandchildren than make McCartney appearances. Yes, well, Bill's had a long tour of being Mr. McCartney, hasn't he? I was looking at pictures yesterday of him, in the 60s, and just how young he is. It's just unbelievable how long he's had to be this person on the world stage. It's just really crazy. Okay, so I want to go to this article that I found, and it's an article that talks about Aleister Crowley's ties to 9/11, and it's called The 9/11 Working. It says, if one considers the multitude of numerically significant markers connected to Aleister Crowley, the certainty of occult influence in the events of 9/11 must be concluded. Each of the plain numbers involved in the 9/11 incident refer directly to the prime numbers of Crowley's system. The numbers of the flights are respectively 11, 77, 93, 175. Aleister Crowley wrote about each of these numbers specifically and emphasized their importance as shown below. The number 11. Firstly, 11 is the number of magic in itself. It is therefore suitable to all types of operation. Secondly, it is the sacred number par excellence of the new aeon, as it is written in the book The Law. 11 as all their numbers who are of us. It is the number of evil, basically, and power. So the number 77, the sublime and supreme sepentry in its mature magical manifestation through matter. Written in Hebrew, Ayin Zayin, Oz. Capricornus, the devil of the tarot, which is the picture of the goat of the Sabbath on an altar. 77 also represents half of the formulation of sexual magic in both the OTO and the Kabbalah. It is also the 77 infernal names of the devil in the Satanic Bible by Anton LaVey. The number 93, the Kabbalistic gematria values of the Greek words thelema, which means the will, agape, which means love, and Iowas in Crowley's magical system equate to the number 93. Quote, "The matter is of extreme importance, because Iowas in dictating the Book of the Law repeatedly makes use of correspondences in Greek, such as thelema, will, 93, agape, love, 93, 718 equals stele 666, and so on. Thus, his own name spelt in Hebrew has the value 93." Unquote. The number 175. Liber 175 in Crowley's magical system is a ritual used to invoke any deity by adoration. There are three main methods of invoking any deity. The first method consists of devotion to that deity. Being mainly mystical in character, they may not be dealt with in this place, especially as a perfect instruction exists in Liber 175. The second method is the straightforward ceremonial invocation. The third method is the dramatic, perhaps the most attractive of all. Certainly it is so to the artist's temperament, for it appeals to his imagination through his aesthetic sense. Yes, so I went over this in a separate video. This stems from magic theory and practice, and you think of that method, the dramatic method, the word person basically means mask. You're a mask, you're wearing a mask, and just find that very interesting that that's how you invoke a deity. The deity of Pan, perhaps. That is what Billy seems to tap into, that spirit, seems like. So then it continues. These numbers are essential to the occult magical system devised by Aleister Crowley. Thus, Crowley's most important numbers, or prime numbers, were intentionally inserted into the 9/11 event. There's infinitesimal likelihood that the numbers appear at random. I also argue that the numbers 11, 93, 77, and 175 represent a signaling function to all Crowley's followers in the global occult community that the events were an inside job. Thus, based on the numerical markers, we can observe the demonic Crowleyan influence upon the events of 9/11 and sense the hidden occult agenda behind the event. The 9/11 attacks committed upon the people of the United States, deceptively blamed upon radical Muslims, initiated revolutionary change in the US and the world. The September 11th attacks led to, number one, an imperial presidency in the United States. Number two wars of aggression in Iraq and Afghanistan, as well as secret conflicts and assassinations throughout the world. That's that spirit of Mars right there that Kenneth Anger spoke about, that Mars is, the god of war. Number three, the reunification of individual and human rights in the US and Europe. Number four, the use of torture and the elimination of 900 years of tradition in the revocation of habeas corpus. Number five, massive increases in military spending. Number six, an innovative, technocratic, cradle-to-the-grave surveillance state in many Western countries. Big Brother. Number seven, the transformation of the character of political institutions in the United States and throughout the world towards globalization. The false flag 9/11 attacks provided the Bush administration with an ideal pretext, a new Pearl Harbor, to aggressively push for American global domination. The 9/11 magic show, utilizing the latest advances in technology and propaganda, tricked many people into military and political policies they would otherwise reject, solidifying support in the United States and the world for wars of aggression. The attacks also provided the rationale for a Bush administration takeover of the Bill of Rights and the Constitution. The events of September 11th heralded a new standard in American and world affairs, a new world order, much discussed by American elites in the decades preceding the events of 9/11, exploded into the world at ground zero in Manhattan. A new war began, including a war on an idea, terror. While one can clearly identify the evils that were wrought from the smoldering ruins of the 9/11 event, there is a darker, more sinister agenda at work. Yes, so, wow. See, this correlates back to what Bill says. This was an event used to traumatize the world, basically, but mostly Americans, so that we would give up some of our freedoms in the name of national security. There have been so many blasphemous events and hidden truths under the claim of national security. It just makes me sick. The stuff that they claim, just hiding people who do bad things to children, protecting them. It's just really disgusting. And to see that this was used as a push for the globalization. As I said, George Bush Sr. talked about a new world order with 1,000 points of light, very Luciferian coded language there, which the average Joe would think, oh, it's so poetic, it's an allegory of some sort, No, he was actually talking about ushering in this new aeon of Horus, the aeon of Lucifer, the age of Aquarius. I feel like we're going to be facing some other sort of trauma soon. I feel like 20 years on, something's happening. I don't know, just the tensions in the world today just kind of makes you think a little bit more about that. And again, the false paradigm of our reality that we live in. But yet we're the nutty conspiracy theorists who don't know what we're talking about, when actually all the evidence, especially the occult evidence, points to all of this stuff. If you have the eyes to see and the ears to listen, that's all. So let me know what you guys think about this one in the comments below, please. I'm very intrigued to see what you guys have to say. Everything ties back to Crowley, it seems, and his prophecy of this Aeon of Horus. Yeah. Let me know what you guys think. Otherwise, please have a wonderful day, and I will see you in the next video. Take care, guys. Bye.
But though they may be parted, there is still a chance, Bill, that they will see